Well, so I asked the district doctor to help, and so I cut myself. Vasily Ivanovich suddenly turned completely white, and without saying a word rushed into his study and returned at once with a piece of silver nitrate in his hand. Bazarov was about to take it and go away. "For God's sake," muttered Vasily Ivanovich, "let me do it myself." Bazarov smiled. "What a devoted practitioner you are. Don't laugh, please. Show me your finger. It's a small cut. Am I hurting you? Press harder, don't be afraid." Vasily Ivanovich stopped. "What do you think, Yevgeny, wouldn't it be better to burn it with a hot iron?" "That ought to have been done sooner. Now really even the silver nitrate is useless." "If I've caught the infection, it's too late now." "How, too late?" murmured Vasily Ivanovich almost inaudibly. "I should think so. It's over 4 hours ago." Vasily Ivanovich burned the cut a little more. "But hadn't the district doctor got any caustic?" "No. How can that be, good heavens? A doctor who is without such an indispensable thing." "You should have seen his lancets," remarked Bazarov, and went out. Till late that evening and all the following day Vasily Ivanovich kept seizing on every possible pretext to go into his son's room, and though, far from mentioning the cut, he even tried to talk about the most irrelevant subjects, he looked so persistently into his son's face and watched him with so much anxiety that Bazarov lost patience and threatened to leave the house. Vasily Ivanovich then promised not to bother him, and he did this the more readily since Irina Vlasyevna, from whom, of course, he had kept it all secret, was beginning to worry him about why he did not sleep and what trouble had come over him. For 2 whole days he held firm, though he did not at all like the look of his son, whom he kept watching on the sly, but on the 3rd day at dinner he could bear it no longer. Bazarov was sitting with downcast eyes and had not touched a single dish. "Why don't you eat, Yevgeny?" he inquired, putting on a perfectly carefree expression. "The food, I think, is very well prepared." "I don't want anything, so I don't eat." "You have no appetite? And your head," he added timidly, "does it ache?" "Yes, of course it aches." Irina Vlasyevna sat bolt upright and became very alert. "Please don't be angry, Yevgeny," went on Vasily Ivanovich, "but won't you let me feel your pulse?" Bazarov got up. "I can tell you without feeling my pulse, I'm feverish." "And have you been shivering?" "Yes, I've been shivering." "I'll go and lie down, and you can send me in some lime flower tea." "I must have caught cold." "Of course, I heard you coughing last night," murmured Irina Vlasyevna. "I've caught cold," repeated Bazarov, and left the room. Irina Vlasyevna busied herself with the preparation of the lime flower tea, while Vasily Ivanovich went into the next room and desperately clutched at his hair in silence. Bazarov did not get up again that day and passed the whole night in heavy half-conscious slumber. At 1 o'clock in the morning, opening his eyes with an effort, he saw by the light of a lamp his father's pale face bending over him, and told him to go away. The old man obeyed, but immediately returned on tiptoe, and half hidden behind the cupboard door he gazed persistently at his son. Irina Vlasyevna did not go to bed either, and leaving the study door a little open, she kept coming up to it to listen how Anyusha was breathing, and to look at Vasily Ivanovich. She could see only his motionless bent back, but even that gave her some kind of consolation. In the morning Bazarov tried to get up, he was seized with giddiness, and his nose began to bleed. He lay down again. Vasily Ivanovich waited on him in silence. Irina Vlasyevna went up to him and asked him how he felt. He answered, "Better," and turned his face to the wall. Vasily Ivanovich made a gesture to his wife with both hands. She bit her lip to stop herself from crying and left the room. The whole house seemed to have suddenly darkened. Every person had a drawn face and a strange stillness reigned. The servants carried off from the courtyard into the village a loudly crowing cock, who for a long time was unable to grasp what they were doing with him. Bazarov continued to lie with his face to the wall. Vasily Ivanovich tried to ask him various questions, but they wearied Bazarov, and the old man sank back in his chair, only occasionally cracking the joints of his fingers. He went into the garden for a few minutes, stood there like a stone idol, as though overwhelmed with unutterable amazement. A bewildered expression never left his face, then went back again to his son, trying to avoid his wife's questions. At last she caught him by the arm, and convulsively, almost threateningly, asked, "What is wrong with him?" Then he collected his thoughts and forced himself to smile at her in reply, but to his own horror, instead of smiling, he suddenly started to laugh. He had sent for a doctor at daybreak,